I didn't do a lot of posts. I didn't know what you had to do. I didn't know where to begin and how to present myself. I wasn't that good of a salesman.
Yeah. You are now, dude.
Yeah, it's my biggest fear because like
me on stuff. I was on the phone with you and I'm like, he's telling me I'm being a coach right now.
I get a message from the recruiting coach from Soul Ross, and I send him my film, and then that next morning I get the phone call and he's like, we want to offer you a spot here at Soul Ross. And my mind just blew up. I was like, I didn't even like what just happened.
That wasn't on my radar.
Yeah. like I never even heard Soul Ross until that day, and then they just offered me. I was just baffled. I didn't know what to do.
Mhm.
I'm like, where's Richie? Where's he at? What do I do? What am I supposed to say? What do I not say? I'm like, thank you. I had no idea. I was super excited though. Because it was the first one. I knew once you got the first one, it would just snowball. Like we said, I was like, what happens now? I'm ready for another one. Where's the next one?
And I think it just comes to the confidence that he has doing your program to grow as a business person, right? That's their brand that they're selling. So he's developed confidence in his brand, which I think has allowed him to kind of flourish as a young man and be a part of a lot of things. And people look at him as a leader, and continue to do that.
And I think through Next Play, he's been able to develop his skills in communicating with adults he didn't know, and with groups of kids that he's learned to know, and with you and with Brian. And I think his ownership of how to be his own type of leader and how to own that role as quarterback or whatever he ends up being, I think he's kind of developed it in his own way. I learned that we are the bumpers on the bowling alley to make sure that they don't get too far off course. And if there needs to be a tough conversation and it needs to be a different voice, we know that Richie or Brian or somebody else's voice is going to be heard. And it's somebody that they trust and they're going to listen to. And it kind of goes along with the calls, I guess. But that was one of the things I was grateful to have.
You're listening to the Football Scholarship Podcast, the playbook for parents and athletes who want to secure the best football scholarships possible. From securing a D1 football scholarship in the SEC at Ole Miss at just £500, £700, myself to helping 83% of the athletes I mentor achieve football scholarship offers and 42% going Division I. I've learned countless lessons that I'll be sharing right here with you. Join me and my co-host Brian Overton, who has 15 years of D1 college football recruiting experience, as we interview top experts, successful athletes, and discuss current recruiting trends. Together, we'll help you navigate the recruiting process so you too can achieve your dream of running out of that tunnel in front of 100,000 screaming fans.
What did you feel like were some of the bigger challenges for you? Like, it's like, okay, I want to play college football, right? Like,
so at that moment, because that's when I'm like, we're in transition period, like looking around for schools. And so that was my biggest fear. I was like, man, I need to land somewhere where I can actually like present myself.
yeah.
But also, I took a look in the mirror. I just looked at my physique and like what I wanted to be. Because my freshman year, I was I was 185, about 6'1", but I was like lean, like there wasn't a lot of meat on me yet. And so I just looked at myself. I was like, okay, how do I get to that next level? And my first thought was the weight room. Like that's where in the lab, you know what I mean? Like if I can tone this up, then everything else will kind of piece together. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And so I took it upon myself to kind of figure out what I wanted to look like in 4 years and what I really wanted to get out of it going into the rest of my high school career.
Yeah. Okay. And then you fell on Crum, right?
Right.
You guys look like Kentucky.
Yeah.
I
We
played
do.
Kentucky.
We do.
I was like,
We have a long basketball history here too, so it fits.
oh, perfect.
We're the Kentucky of Texas.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what were some of the like challenges, sophomore year and into your junior year? Because we didn't meet until about a year ago, right?
We didn't meet until after
His junior summer,
my junior summer.
going into his senior year.
I thought it was like around now. No?
Yeah, it is probably
in
the
the
spring,
baseball
but it
season.
was it was
Late
during
spring.
baseball.
It was after my junior season.
So it was the spring of his junior
Okay.
year.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It was about now, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little later than now.
Right.
But like, before that, like, what were some of the, some of the challenges? Like, you're like, okay, I want to get recruited. I want to play college football. I want to get serious about it. Right. What were some of the challenges that like that you were facing at that time? Even in Crum in a smaller area.
Right. It was really just like, where do I start? You know what I mean? Like, where am I supposed to go to do this? Because before that, I knew about emailing, but I didn't know how frequently you have to do it, how often you have to redo it, how you have to send it to everybody. And like, mainly that summer going into my junior fall, that season before we met you, all we did was camps. Like, I didn't really send a lot of emails. I didn't do a lot of posts. I didn't know what you had to do. I thought it was just go to camps, people see you, and then they pick you up. Not kind of like baseball, you know what I mean?
Right.
Basically, go to showcases, then you talk to coaches, and yeah. But I didn't know where to begin and how to present myself. I wasn't that good of a salesman.
Yeah. You are now, dude.
Yeah, it's my biggest fear because like
me on stuff. I was on the phone with you, and I'm like, he's telling me I'm being a coach right now. Like, he's pretty good at this.
Which is funny because you ask my mom, I was a shy kid. Like, I didn't do very well with contact, and then like same thing at the camps. Like, he made me go and talk to kids because like before I just go there, do my stuff, and then leave. And so I'd just be like I wasn't even there. You know what I mean? I came and got a workout. And so like what you started challenging me to do was to meet 5 kids. So that's what I started doing, and it started helping me grow into being able to talk to people. And like now I can just.
We had a gift of a family trip. We went to Florida, and on the way back from the Keys, we went to Key Largo. On the way back, we were headed to Miami to the airport. And we always, no matter where we are, we try to pick up and look at college campuses, stadiums, whatever, just use it, get the most out of it. And so we had a little time, and we went to Miami University and walked in and just tried to talk to somebody, and nobody, couldn't do that.
Nobody was there.
And then we went to FIU, and Chris literally pulled up to the athletic office and said, "Ty, get out, go in there and introduce yourself." And he did.
Okay.
All of us in the car just looking like, is he really going to do it? And Ty just got out, no question, and went in, introduced himself.
That's awesome. Okay. All right, cool. From like, it's also interesting from the parents' perspective too, right? Like Chris and Kelly, obviously watching Ty grow up over time. When you realized he was serious about playing college football, and he was trying to figure it out, before a year ago, let's say, what were some of the challenges that you saw him facing kind of going through that process initially?
Well, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so, I didn't know what advice to give him. I kind of rely on Chris because he's been on the coach side of that for other kids. When kids would be recruited through the athletic offices in the high schools where we were, he had some part in that. And I don't even know, I wasn't there, but I just would hear him talk about, they came to visit so-and-so kid today. And so I just thought that's how it worked. And part of the challenge, Crum, yes, is a small place, but also they're a late bloomer when it comes to the football program. We didn't even have football until 2012. And so, we're not one of the, if you looked up the top 100 powerhouse recruiting places in Texas, Crum's not going to be on there because we're not known for football. Mm-hmm. And so, part of, I think Ty adopted the identity of, I'm going to help be a part of changing that, reputation. We're going to be more diverse than just basketball or just, what things we've been known for in the past. So anyway, I didn't know really where to go or what to do. And I knew enough to know that Ty didn't know what he was supposed to be doing either. And so for us, when we got involved, it was really good because Ty is the kind of kid that if you tell him what to do, he's going to do it. There's not a whole lot of pushback, especially if it's something he sees the goal, he wants to. Right. And so that wasn't an issue. It was just, what do we do? And kind of having a playbook from you guys, I had no doubt that he could handle it. But the challenge for me was not knowing. I know Chris probably has more information than I do, but I just relied on them.
What were some of the things that you did, Ty, that took you from the summer before, or late spring, summer before your senior year with no offers as a quarterback, right? We're not talking about running back, receiver, DB, as a quarterback, to being able to set yourself up with significant NCAA football scholarship offers.
Well, that summer, like you said, after we got done our camps and I didn't really hear anything back for that week or two, because I remember we talked about it, I was like, okay, this has really got to be on me. Like, I got to do this for myself because nobody else is really helping me out here. And so that whole month of July going into August to our first practices, I would just send emails, just DM coaches, video myself throw with my receivers, and just put in, like, majority of the day in the summer, I was either at the field or I was at somewhere else throwing the football, just doing something that would help my skill set get better. So, like, I would do our strength conditioning, and then I'd give myself 30 minutes to rest, and then I'd go throw with my receivers. And then later on, I'd go and throw with our Stoney Case guy who did our private stuff. And I just took it upon myself to get where I wanted to go. I was like, okay, if I really want to do this, I have to do it myself. Like, no one else is going to help me with this. And then once season rolled around, I was like, I just can't worry about it because it's nothing I can really control. It's other people's opinion. I was like, I just got to put my best foot forward and just play ball and do what I do. And so that whole season, I didn't really worry about who was liking me, who wasn't. I was just going out there balling, sending my stuff out, and letting go the wheel, see where it takes me. But prior to that, it was just how prepared could I be for my last season of football? Like, how much of the game could I know before I went in and took over that role?
Yeah.
So,
And I will say for you, Ty, like you definitely did not just sit back and see what happened. Like, I know you worked hard on the football field,
right.
but you took significant action off the field, man. Like, you were sending DMs, sending emails, following coaches. They were following you back. You were posting a ton on social media and getting coaches to follow you and watch you and DM you, right? Like, this is a lot of action that you were taking, man, that you already know most kids don't take, right?
Mhm.
So
I
why
think
don't you hit on that, man, and talk about like some of all that stuff that you did that really set yourself up to get in front of more and more and more coaches.
So I'll just walk you through like a week for during the season. And so Mondays would be our heavy lift day and practice. But every day I wrote down every school from the D3 up to the D1 level. And I would go through one conference each day during my 5th period class every day before Fridays. And then Fridays I wouldn't do because obviously they're probably going to get ready for a game. Probably not going to be as subjected to it. Same with Saturdays. But that whole week I'd get maybe 5 or 6 conferences done leading up to game time. And then Friday night I'd get the film, and Saturday morning I'd cut it up and make my highlight that morning. And that way I could send it out. So that way after the coaches got done playing on Saturdays and Fridays, they could see it on Sundays going into the next week. And then that Sunday I would see how many people viewed it. I would either repost it or add something to it if I missed something, like another ad, resend it out. And then I'd start looking at the film for our next punt that week. And I'd do the same thing every week. And so I was sending maybe 60, 70 emails a week, Monday to Thursday. And then Sunday, I'd hit the ball rolling again. And I'd email whoever was playing or had a good game and just send those out. And so that was my goal, was just to get as many conferences as I'd done. Sometimes I did 2 conferences a class period. I mean, I was just rattling them out as much as I could.
he kind of had the all-in mentality. From being on the sidelines of this, we weren't helicoptering him. It was just him doing it. But I could see from the sidelines that he took on the mentality of, if this doesn't happen for me, it's not going to be something that I didn't do. I'm going to do everything I know I can do. And so much so that one time he emailed or DM'd a coach, a high school recruiting coach for this area for a school. And he was telling his dad about it. And Chris said, "You did what? What did you say?"
It was the when I messaged Clemson.
Yeah.
I connected with the dude, and he's like, I think they just lost the game. or he has like like he told me at practice that morning. He's like, oh, I saw some recruits leave. I was like, oh yeah, I already sent an email to you. I already saw it. He's like, what do you say? I'm like, I was like, hey coach, I see a bunch of guys are jumping ship. I just want to let you know that I'm still open to be recruited, and here's my film and everything. He goes, what'd you do? I was like, well, something different.
Attention.
And I got a message back that night. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you do you, I guess.
What's he gonna do? Not
Yeah.
talk to you?
Yeah.
That's already
So,
happening. So
I mean, obviously it caught his attention too. He's like, oh no, they're not jumping ship. We got it. So
And the coaches respond all the time to players, and they respond back. Like, I responded back because I know you wrote this to me, right? Versus like some blast, right? So, so dude, tell me about, and I'd love Chris and Kelly to hear from you on this too. But when you got that first offer, I know I got the phone call. Brian got the call. But Ty, let's start with you, man. What was it like when you got, but you had put in all this work, all this posting, all these emails, all these DMs, right? And for a long time, and all the rejection, and Lamar was interested, and they were interested, and then they stopped, then they ghosted you, right? Like, to finally get that first offer, what was that like?
So we were, I think, was it Christmas break or Thanksgiving break? And we're over in Jacksonville where her parents live, and we were having Thanksgiving. I think it was like the day before Thanksgiving. And I woke up and it's 9:30 in the morning. I was just going through Twitter, just looking at my feed and everything. And one of my buddies who goes to Lumberton got an offer from Sol Ross. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. That's everything. And so I hit him up and I reposted everything. And then I'm not talking about like 2 minutes later, I get a message from the recruiting coach from Sol Ross. And I sent him my film. And then that next morning, I get the phone call and he's like, we want to offer you a spot here at Sol Ross. And my mind just blew up. I was like, I didn't even, like, what just happened?
that wasn't on my radar.
Yeah. like I never even heard Sol Ross until that day. And then they just offered me. I was just baffled. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, how do I speak to this? I've never been done this. I was like, where's Richie? Where's he at? What do I do? Like, what am I supposed to say? What do I not say? I was like, thank you. I had no idea. I was super excited though. Because it was the first one. I knew once you got the first one, it would just snowball. Like we said, I was like, what happens now? I'm ready for another one. Where's the next one?
Awesome. How about Chris and Kelly? What was it like when you found out?
He just released.
Yeah, you could tell a lot of the, just the frustration and just the pressure of trying to make that happen. Kind of just, you saw his shoulders just kind of relax, and that it was working. I think that was the biggest thing is, it's just tough, man. It's just a tough business. And it's like you said, and it's like anybody tells you, it's got to be in front of the right person. Or the right people. I mean, that's usually what happens. And usually, when you get that first offer, then at least the people in the conference take notice, right? And then it kind of spirals from there. But when Sol Ross offered, and then Hardin Simmons called, and then Boston College called, it just started. Okay, well, if they're offering this kid, we need to look at them. And then next thing you know, you get another call, and you get another call, and it's exciting, because that was his goal. We didn't have, he wants to play at a high level, obviously at the highest level that he's, capable of playing at. We don't know what that is yet, but, people always say, you got so many people that are, I just want D1. I just want D1. I said, guys, football's football at that level. I said, they can all play, and in this day and age, if you can perform at one level and do really well, there's a chance to move up to another level.
Yep.
It's just different, right? What kids don't understand is there's so many kids that go and don't ever get an opportunity. No one ever calls them, so appreciate that there's people out there that definitely want you to be a part of their program and help them, win in their program. So we've always talked about, we're always going to go somewhere where we're wanted, like SFA offered them a walk-on as a tight end. Well, that's not a want. That's man, we think you're a good football player. We'll let you be on the team. They don't truly want you. So go somewhere that they want you, where you have a chance to get on the field, you've impressed them enough to get a shot at it, and then you can chase that dream and play, as many more years as you can possibly play. So, and that's in life too, right? I mean, that's taking a job. You always want to go take a job where they want you, not necessarily where you want to be all the time.
Right. For
So
sure.
it was exciting. It was exciting for him, and it was exciting for us that, okay, like I told him, I said, well, you got one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
worst case scenario, you're going to Sol Ross, and then he got some more added on to that. So he was excited.
I think the best part though was like he said that that finally told me that what I'm doing is working, because before we met you, we were doing this other service and I was getting like messages and stuff, but I wasn't really getting anything back from it. You know what I mean? I felt like I was putting in this time without any return from it. And so once I got that one, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually doing something right. And so the process actually works. I wasn't being lied to again.
That validation, I think, and the timing of it was great, because I think had it come too soon, he wouldn't have appreciated it as much. He got to start his season, and he got to just be a mental giant and just go ball out and not worry about what was happening. Just let it play out how it was going to play out. He trusted it. But there's always, until you get that validating factor, there's always that question mark in your head. Like, is this going to happen for me? And like Chris said, we could read his body language and read his face, and he's doing all the things, and we believe what Richie says, and we're trusting the program and the process. But this is a new era. We're walking where no college kids have walked. we're trying to learn and build this airplane as we fly it, and we didn't know really what was going to happen. So having that validation, and then seeing the snowball, like you guys said, as soon as it happened, you said, get ready, because here it comes. And it did. It happened that way for him. So it just takes, that one validating moment. And then you're like, okay, even if you believed before, it just solidified it for him. And like I said, his whole body language has changed. You could see the stress go away. And so he knew that it was all going to work out. No matter where he ended up, it was going to work out. So.
Right. And the fact that like Ty had to go through this, right? Like he had to go through. I think you made a great point there of like, sometimes we do like Travis's story where he was able to get an offer like really fast. You don't appreciate it because you don't have to go through what Ty had to go through, right? The rejection, the constant like working really hard without a return on that time in the beginning, right? So, over the last 8 or 9 months or whatever that it's been, where do you feel like Ty has grown the most?
I think probably his communication with people, his willingness to talk to people, to be an open book, and not kind of sit back. He's over the last 2 years, he's really grown, into a young man that he's always helped other people. He's not a cliquish kid, right? He doesn't have a group he sits with. He said, and that's probably being a coach's son, is moving and having to meet other people. He's been in band in junior high. He's done it. So you've seen him sit with band kids and football kids and baseball kids and just the regular non-athletic kid. He gets along with everybody. And what I think I've seen the most is his confidence in who he is and what he's trying to achieve, and then his communication skills. And it's really, he's been asked to, talk to all the teachers in the district to open up convocation from our superintendent. He's been on the superintendent's, what do y'all call it? His council, student council. He's had some opportunities to do some things to really kind of put himself out there that he probably wouldn't if he was still kind of this quiet to himself kid. And I think what it's allowed other people to do is just to kind of see his strengths as a young man, not just athletically, but academically and socially and, leadership wise. We preach servant leadership all the time in our programs, and he's been around it his whole life, but I really believe that's who he is. He's the kid that stays after the basketball game and helps clean up the gym when he sees other people clean. He's just without being asked.
Right.
So, if he's willing to do those little things, then we knew when he got in this program, he was going to be all in on that thing, because now it's about him. And
Right.
usually it's not about him. It's usually about everybody around him and making sure they're all taken care of. And then he'll take care of him.
Mm.
And that's why I appreciate the process and everything he's been through, because he appreciates it, right? He appreciates that scholarship offer with Kilgore. So I know when he leaves in June, he's not going to take it for granted. He's going to go up there and work as he's worked the last 4 years. Because
Mhm.
if he wants to chase that dream, if he wants to play at a high level, then it's going to take a high commitment to do that. And I think that's what he's learned over the last, especially with your program and working with you guys, and y'all kind of, driving them in the direction they need to go. I think he's learned how to do that now. He understands, okay, the priority list is this, right? So I really want to do this, but I got to do this first if I want to stay on the track that I'm on to get what I want out of this. That I might have to sacrifice this. I might have to put that at the bottom of the list right now. That's what I've seen with him, even through baseball, just his focus, his work ethic. Last year he didn't have a great year in baseball. He had a great district, but this year he's killing it, and I think it just comes to the confidence that he has doing your program, being involved in so many things in the high school with the superintendent, just those opportunities, to grow as a business person, right? That's their brand that they're selling. So he's developed confidence in his brand, which I think has allowed him to kind of flourish as a young man and be a part of a lot of things. And people look at him as a leader, and continue to do that. So I think that's the biggest growth I've seen in him, is just who he's becoming and his drive to do it, right? Without somebody having to stay on, hey, you got to get out there. So
I'll send
Richie,
the post.
I was going to add to that. I was thinking as he was talking about how Ty has grown, and I remember, I don't know if it was one of the parent calls we had or one of the group calls. It might have been a parent call when he came in, and I think Brian was in the call, and Ty just offered. It was after he had decided to go with Kilgore, and I think he just kind of outright offered to Brian, if there are other kids that you need me to talk to or you need me to, help. Anyway, he was offering his wisdom from this journey, right? And I think for me, Ty has always been a confident kid, but it's been a quiet confidence. And I think for us, how there's some quarterbacks that are the quarterback's kind of the shiny penny of the team. And some of them wear it louder than others. You know what I mean? There's some really loud, fancy,
For sure.
they're really shiny ones. And Ty was never that way, but I think he appreciated that his skill set was appropriate for that role, and he needed to be a leader on the team, and he's willing to do that. But I think a year or two ago, he was still trying to juggle, like, how am I still going to be Ty? How am I going to be myself and be true to myself and still be that leader? And I think through Next Play, he's been able to develop his skills in communicating with adults he didn't know, and with groups of kids that he's learned to know, and with you and with Brian. And I think his ownership of how to be his own type of leader and how to own that role as quarterback or whatever he ends up being, I think he's kind of developed it in his own way. And he's like, this is who I am. And I can still be that kid who picks up trash. And I can still be that kid who tells my friends, I'm not going out because I'm tired. I got to sleep. I got whatever tomorrow. And his confidence is just more, I think he's taken ownership of it. He's not trying to figure that out anymore. And I think Next Play has helped him with that, because I don't think he would have been that kid that would say, let me talk to whoever else needs, advice. And now he is, but he's still that humble guy that he's comfortable being. So
I love that. I love it. Yeah, I agree with you, both of you, wholeheartedly on pretty much everything. You, Ty, where do you feel like you've grown the most?
That would definitely be my just confidence in my own ability, because like they said, I wasn't the kid that flashed my stuff. I did my stuff best I could and then got out. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't there for the extra stuff. I just did my job, and then I left, and that was good for me. And so when I started this and like you started talking about the posting stuff, because remember before I didn't really post that much, but that was just my personality. Like I didn't like showing myself off because I felt like it was too impulsive of me. Like I wasn't the kind of person I was like, oh, look at me, look at me. I was the guy that would help people I was the guy like being in the dark and like to see everyone succeed because I did my job. It was the same thing in football. Like I loved playing quarterback, but I hated at the end of the game because that's the only person they look at. They wouldn't look at the O-line to block for you. They wouldn't look at the receiver on the other side of the end zone who caught the ball. They wouldn't look at the defense who held them off to keep you ahead. So going into using this program, how I had to show myself, show my skill set, and actually show them who I was and speak, like tell them who I was. It helped me off the field, but also on the field because I kind of held myself higher than I originally did. Like I wasn't the arrogant quarterback that was perfect, that had to have everything perfect. I was still the guy who wanted to work, but I had confidence in my own ability that when the game's on the line, I got to do my stuff to help my team out. And so, like, I look at film from last season compared to this season, and like after touchdowns, my thing was always just pull the finger up, right? And going this season, man, I was throwing fists up, bumping my buddy. Like I was going to people. I wasn't just in my own world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was racing my center to go celebrate with my receiver that just caught a 60-yard bomb to win the game. And so it just helped me get outside of my comfort zone and show who I really was. Because if you asked me if I could have done this 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have believed you because I was so quiet and secure myself. Like when we moved here, like I didn't go out to hang with anybody. I just stayed home. I didn't do anything after like 7 p.m. I was just here in my room, either playing video games or watching football. That was it. But doing this helped me just branch out, like be with my buddies on the time, but also talk to coaches that I've never even seen before or some that are in different states, but just like striking up conversation just like that. And then also doing the group calls with y'all and practicing what I'm going to say to a coach in a video call full of my peers, because that's not very easy. Because we've also done with some of the guys you brought on here, and it's not an easy thing to do when you don't know who those people
Right.
are. Like presenting in class, you're like, why is everybody looking at me? And so
As parents, it's a gift to, I'm going to speak for myself. It's a gift to me because he's my only son, and this part isn't developed yet up here. And so boys are just different when they go off to school, who knows? But because I've seen him grow in the types of ways we're talking about, I feel like he's going to go to Kilgore or wherever the next step is after that. And he's going to be able to handle his business, handle the communication required to advocate for himself, ask questions, get better, be a leader. You don't have to be, you can still be you and be that leader. And I'm more confident in what he's going to do when he leaves home. So he did all this by himself. We didn't sit over him and say, how many emails have you done? How many DMs have you done? So he's prepared.
Yeah, this just helped me figure out, like, I understand now that when it's time to work, you gotta work. Like that time to work is work. That's it, nothing else. So
Yeah. And what I'm just curious from your perspective, Ty, like what did you like most about working with us? Like what worked really good for you? Was it the scorecards? Was it the group calls? Was it the one-on-ones and the role playing? Like what did you like most about it?
So what I liked most about it, going back to what I said with the other programs, that the other program was completely me. Like it was just me and the program that we were doing. But with y'all, my favorite part about it was being able to see y'all weekly, like face to face, like knowing that y'all are here and that y'all want to help. Especially with Brian, his background, like you brought a guy who just got done recruiting for Arkansas. I mean, how much more experience could you get from that? You know what I'm saying? But it was just y'all were keeping tabs on us, and y'all were weekly calls and face to face, and like your door was always open. That was my favorite part, and that y'all knew what we needed to do at any point where we were. Like there wasn't a point of hesitation. Like I come to a question, you'd be like thinking, like, okay, this is what we gotta do.
Mhm.
And it's like a 5-step plan. I'm like, geez, like, I'm like, how does he know that? And so I was just like in shock. I was like, what? I was like, okay. And then, but like you knew what we needed to do, but you also were there when we needed help from you on the spot. You know what I'm saying? And then you work with us, and then you get us where we need to be, and then you let us go. Like you wouldn't be micromanaging us all the time, but you'd still be checking in, basically. And so that was always my favorite part, especially how you always started your calls with one thing good, just to get it going off right. Because there's always silver lining to everything, right? Like something,
For sure.
there's always something good to happen. You got the worst day ever, but hey, you woke up. There's a good thing. I mean, something,
I'll take
right?
it.
There's always,
I hope.
yeah, there's always something. And so that was just my favorite part, was just getting to interact with y'all on a personal level, knowing that you're not by yourself and that you're going through this with us. And that we're
Yeah.
not experiencing something that y'all haven't experienced before. Especially with your story. I mean, hell, you went to Ole Miss, not the top prospect in the country, but hey, you did it. I mean, like you obviously know what you're doing. So
Love
Yeah.
brutal honesty.
yeah, I mean,
No doubt about it, man.
I learned from Brian. So I
You
learned
gotta
from
love
Brian.
kids, right?
yeah,
I love it.
I learned from Brian.
Chris Kelly, do you want to add anything to that?
I appreciated that I had confidence that I didn't have to watch over him. I didn't have to check in with him. I know that partly y'all did that with the calls, but also the systems you have, the CRM and the playbooks and all the things, the scorecards, what are we doing this week? And I can remember being in some parent calls, and Brian hosted most of ours, I think, because it was the certain time that we did it or whatever. And I can remember him telling some parents who were concerned about something, yeah, I just talked to him about that yesterday. Or he said, well, I'm going to see him tomorrow and I'll ask him about that. And so it's almost like tag team with the parents, because we don't know everything about what y'all do and y'all don't know everything about what we're doing. But through the calls, I learned that we are, kind of the bumpers on the bowling alley to make sure that they don't get too far off course. And if there needs to be a tough conversation and it needs to be a different voice because all they hear is Charlie Brown's teacher over here, we know that Richie or Brian or somebody else's voice is going to be heard. And it's somebody that they trust and they're going to listen to. So that was one of the things that and it kind of goes along with the calls, I guess, but that was one of the things I was grateful to have.
That's the coolest analogy I've ever heard. The bumpers on a bowling alley.
Oh,
Literally. It was,
you got
You got a bunch.
that was so, I'm using
There
that.
is some stuff.
There is a bunch.
buddy.
You know
I'm
what's
stealing
funny is
that
it
one.
comes out, and then I know after I say it, I'm gonna get razzed. So, but I just go with it. It is what it is.
That was so good. No, that's awesome. Honestly,
think-
go ahead, Chris.
I think the biggest thing is y'all's availability to them.
Mhm.
The most precious thing we have is time, and y'all offer that daily. Y'all offer your time daily, and it doesn't matter. You don't have a set time. It's if they need something, can they contact you and get a hold of one of y'all? And absolutely, whenever he had a question, whenever he needed to reach out, if he needed to text you or call you or whatever, somebody was available for him. And it was usually somebody that he had a relationship, whether it was you or whether it was Brian.
Mhm.
That you don't see that very much anymore. People don't want to give other people their time. But
Right.
I felt like y'all were truly invested in the kids y'all are working with. You had a great game plan, obviously. And I think that's important. And I think if you had an argument with all these other people that are offering, programs to help kids, and I think the first question out of everybody's mouth ought to be, are you available?
Mm.
Can you give us your time without us having to schedule a meeting, or are y'all available? That's probably the biggest thing, because we never know when we have a question. Those kids never know. Something's going to come up daily or weekly or month, whatever it is. Something's going to come up, and they're teenage kids that usually don't write it down. They need to know an answer. Are you available?
And it's
And
not
that's what I
always,
felt like with y'all. Y'all were available.
Mhm.
I know every time, y'all would reach out to them. Hey, if you got anything, let me know. I'll be around tonight. Just on a whim. Just hey, here we are. I got a few minutes here and there, and it's 6 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night when you should be with your families. But maybe they're out at dance class or whatever they're doing, and you're going, hey, I got an hour here if anybody needs to reach out to me. I felt like that was probably the biggest motivational thing for me. Knowing what y'all do is just your availability to the boys.
and I don't think it was all technical either, or logistics, or, hey, I got a coach hitting me up. What do I say? For me, I remember again from the parent calls, Brian would say something like, don't worry, he's in a good headspace. I've talked to him. Because there's a lot of emotion involved, but I'm walking the walk with a boy, and they, this one internalizes a lot. And whether it's a bad week, or you lost, or you didn't get the call you thought you were going to get, or the coach just ghosted you that was recruiting you, a week ago, I don't know how to have that conversation to make sure they're okay. And so to hear from Brian that he had talked to him, or had talked to another kid on the, from the parent call, a parent who was worried about it, and he said, don't worry, he's in a good place. He's handling it. That's all we need to hear. We may not get that from a one-on-one with our kid.
Yeah, that's super powerful. And it wasn't, but maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, Brian called me. He's like, hey, I just want to fill you in on a one-on-one, a heart-to-heart I had with Ty.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I mean, that's part of the game. I think that's super powerful. And Chris, like the availability, and I just want to let you all know that, like, I really appreciate you saying this, because obviously I do what I do to help these kids get a scholarship. But like, the scholarship is playing college football is amazing, and Ty is going to have a great career, and I'm excited to watch you progress, and you're going to move up and all that. But dude, just watching you grow as a person, like that's what it's about. You know what I mean? And becoming a young man that when the football days come to an end, that you can do anything you want.
Absolutely.
Start a business, work your way up in a career, whatever you want to do. Because you're going through this now, and you're not allowing the fear of failure and rejection and what people think about you and all of these things stop you, you're just going to be able to do anything you want. It's going to be easier for you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And I want to say this, Chris, because you made me think a lot. And it's like the availability thing. And one thing, like, we brought on another coach, it's me, Brian. Now we have another coach, Coach K. And one thing we always say is, like, most important thing is we've got to be available, and you got to care.
You got to care.
Mhm.
If you're not available and you don't care, it's not going to work.
Right.
It's the same business I'm in.
Yeah.
Coach.
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Like, when I have people, I can tell, like, if you don't truly love coaching kids, you can't coach here.
No. If you don't care, it's not going to work.
No.
They know it.
And they know it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If
Cool.
you're in it for you and wins and losses and all that, you're in the wrong place. Because at the end of the day, you hit it on the nose a minute ago. Somebody's going to tell him he can't play football anymore at some point.
Right.
So what kind of man is he when he walked out of your building?
Right.
Do I have to worry about him? Right. And that's what I tell my kids all the time on a daily basis. I love you. I want you to go chase all your dreams, but it's all going to come to an end. So when you walk across that stage, are you ready to go into the real world and be successful? That's more
It's
important.
your next dream and
That's
your next dream, dude. Because like you'll see as you're going. I mean, this has been my experience, right? It's like, bro, anything I want to do, I'm just like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, I have one kid come into my office. I shared the story at the event. Kid come into my office, asked me, how do I play college football? And now I have this. We have an office here in Vegas. We have people like, and it's because I just knew without a shadow of a doubt I'd figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's exactly who you're going to be, Ty.
Absolutely.
You're going to go through life and you're going to know without a shadow of a doubt, I can go and do this. I can go and do this, you know, because you'll figure it out. Because you're not going to let the thing that stops everybody else from achieving what they want in their life stop them. You won't. So that's my favorite part about this. So I appreciate all of you sharing this. I know we went way over, but
Well, you only owe us one.
story.
We're long talkers, so
No, it's cool. I'm super proud of Ty. It's been absolutely amazing to to get to work with you, man. And I'm really excited to be a part and watch your journey from here. Like you've got you're just like surface, right? You're just getting started. So I think you're a heck of a player. I wish I would have met you 2 years ago or 3 years ago now. But it is what it is. So I really appreciate all your time, and well, it was really good seeing all of you. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up the podcast?
No, I just appreciate y'all.
I don't know how you got all of your parts together, all the different humans that are involved in this, and how they're such a good fit, because that's a challenge. We all have our strengths and we're all different. And I don't know how you did it, but you got a good team, and I'm sure Brian's going to bring on more people, but that's been really good for us to experience all the different people and the different personalities. And so,
I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. And Ty, I'll be in touch here really soon. Hopefully, fairly soon in the next few weeks or month or so. But I'm excited about it, man. And I'm excited to watch your journey, brother, because this is only the beginning.
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right, guys, have a great night. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Richie.
All right, guys. Yep.
bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Football Scholarship Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And for more free resources, or if you're interested in working with us, visit gonextplay.com. Until next time.